Bob and Sherry, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sherry.
All right, I'll see you Thursday night.
Thursday night?
Yeah.
It's Thursday, the day before Friday, the day after Wednesday, 2 days after Tuesday.
Thursday.
'Cause it's Wednesday.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday, I don't care about you. Thursday doesn't even start.
So sometime between now and Thursday, I've got to come up with a small fortune.
It's the gateway to the weekend, Thursday. Now, here's Bob and Sherry.
I want to kick off today's show with amazing news for women, especially women who like guacamole or avocados in general. This is the best news. So it turns out that when women eat an avocado a day, which sounds like heaven to me, and eating an avocado a day redistributes the belly fat in women and makes us healthier. Like, so, there are certain kinds of fat that are worse than other kinds of fat.
Yes.
You've always heard that it's better to carry your fat like on your hips and thighs than around your belly, because that fat, it has a name. It's called visceral fat, and it's around your organs, and it's really unhealthy, right? It's really bad. So it turns out that for women, eating an avocado a day moves that fat and changes everything for you. Like completely changes the way the fat is stored. It works a little bit for men, but it's mostly for women, which I think is just the best news ever, because I love avocados. But you've heard your whole life, oh, those are fattening. Oh, those are fattening. Turns out you best be eating one of those a day, sister. Now that is some good news to wake up to, I think.
Especially for millennials on Sundays.
On their toast, yeah. I could eat guacamole.
That's right.
I could eat avocados and guacamole with almost every meal. I love them. So
did you ever get into like a instant addictive state in front of a big bowl of guacamole at a party? I have. You go up and they have all these dips, and maybe they got some cold cuts or whatever. It's a Super Bowl party or whatever. And you go, oh, I haven't had that in a while. And they've got those chips that are kind of curled, right? I forget which kind. And you dip it in, you go, And about an hour and a half later, you're still there. And people are giving you the stink eye, but you cannot stop.
My favorite way to eat avocado is to elbow the chips aside and just dip my hand in and eat it like a shovel.
Yeah.
Like I love it.
Well, you're a very clean person. I'm sure others don't mind.
Now, don't you wish that you could wake up more days to hear that a favorite food that you thought was kind of like, well, you better only eat just a little bit of that. Turns out you should be eating a whole one all by yourself every single day?
Why are there not more headlines like this? I went online, and I forget what the source was, but it was a news source. And I went through the first, I think it was 10 posts. Every one of them was terrible news. And I understand you can't put your head in the sand, but every one of them was a shooting at an apartment. Somebody was hijacked. There's somebody missing. The virus is this. The virus is that. And I'm looking. Give me something. That's where the guacamole story would have really come in.
This is why I wanted to open the show with it, because you, I get up, I'm scrolling my news feed, and it's like gloom, doom, terror, awful, apocalypse. Eat an avocado every day if you're a woman. Oh my God, why isn't everybody talking about this?
Yeah. That's a nice little break. They should do that more often. Okay. Well, they are expensive. We have to point that out.
Yeah, but so is an early death. So is an early death or a $250,000 hospital bill.
I'm stepping back from that comment. Wish I never made it.
I mean, if you're going to compare, like, geez, these avocados are $2.99 a pound. Well, I could die, Hank. Yeah, I think that we could go ahead and agree. It's a little cheaper.
If I were one of those trolls online and you did that line, well, so's an early death. The troll comes right back at you saying, oh, yeah? Well, maybe that would be blessed for some people, a blessed relief. Have you ever thought about that? You don't know that it would be an early death. Here you go again.
That's why I don't. That's why I never respond to them, and I just let them. Snap. You know how like a dog, like if you've ever seen a movie like Cujo, a dog with rabies, it's on the chain and it's just foaming at the mouth and snapping,
right.
But it can't get to you. That's how I treat
Right.
those trolls. And by the way, maybe an early death would be a welcome thing. You can go meet your maker, but you might not be lucky enough to die, Chief. You might end up with $250,000 worth of hospital bills and some real impairment. Wouldn't it be better to just eat the avocado?
Eat the
avocado and go fight with somebody else on the internet. Coming up on the show today, we are going to throw it back to comedian Bill Hicks for Throwback Thursday. And if you're just so tired of the same old, we have some very cozy romantic date ideas for fall that no man in his right mind has ever agreed to, gay or straight. It's all coming up. It's Bob and Sherry.
Instant access to the podcast, and fun side. Just download the free Bob and Sherry app.
Since we started today's show with really great news, like if you're a woman, you should eat an avocado every day because it moves like bad, harmful belly fat and redistributes it to other places. So pass the guacamole. In that spirit, let me give you another little news story that has no bad side to it whatsoever. There's a guy named Peter Carl Eastland, and his nickname is the Nose of Nissan. He has a master's in chemistry and forensic science, but that's not why he's the Nose of Nissan. He has an extremely sensitive sense of smell, and he can identify 15 different smell categories right down like to the molecules. And so Nissan has hired him to make sure that every Nissan has the perfect new car smell.
Wow, what a job.
Is that
I'm gonna tell my wife this. She needs to
job?
apply to be backup. Her nose is about as good as that. When he's out, she could take over. What a great job.
Like, for example, he works with engineering and manufacturing teams at Nissan, and they test everything. They test the material for the seats. They test the plastics that are used in like the dashboard or the turn signal. And anytime Peter smells something that kind of negatively impacts that new car vibe, the whole teams work together to come up with alternatives so that the new car smell in a Nissan is the perfect new car smell. Isn't
whether
that
it's
the wildest job you could have?
It is. Whether it's a Nissan or another car, that new car smell is something. The first couple of cars I had did not have it because they had the old car smell, which is very different. Which when I was very young, the old car smell was a combination of really bad cheap coffee and cigarettes, and plastic seats. Somehow, plastic seats had their own smell.
Old cars, like your parents' old car, there was some weird alchemy that happened between the plastic seats, the chain smoking with all the windows rolled up, and the car baking in the sun in the summertime. Remember that, like, heady, like the door would open up, the heat would rush out in your face, along with this whole like array of chemical smells and tobacco smells. Yeah.
I can remember getting into the Pontiac, and my father, grudgingly is driving me to school that day. And first thing in the morning, it's like 7:30 in the morning, and I look down and there's that ashtray, and it has not been emptied in a while. And it's like, whoa, first thing, disgusting smell and image. They don't even make ashtrays anymore in cars, do they?
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
For most cars, they haven't in 25 years.
I never
Has it been
really,
that long? Wow.
Since I'm not a smoker, I never really gave it any thought. They still have cigarette lighters, or at least the jacks for cigarette lighters in some cars, right?
They have the jacks. Yeah, they have the jacks.
Wow. Well, how would you like to discover that you have this wild, intense sense of smell and then end up having a job like this guy has? What a cool, unusual career.
It's good if you can find that job, and I wonder if it's part-time or full-time. Anyway, but to smell everything much more intensely than other people do is no gift. Mary says, I wish I didn't have it. I mean, she can smell somebody smoking a cigarette at the light in the car next to us with the windows up.
Maybe she missed her calling as being like the Nose of Nissan, like this guy.
Yeah, I'm going to tell her that.
Because he was a chemist and a forensic scientist, I think that he was already sort of working in this world, and Nissan just got wind of his special abilities. But there you go. There's two things to start your day that aren't scary or terrifying. There's eat some guacamole, and here's a guy that makes sure your new car smells nice. We got Morons in the News next. That's where the good news ends, because it's Morons in the News.
Oh, darn.
But we tried, y'all. We tried. It's Bob and Sherry.
Bob and Sherry.
You idiot.
Here they are.
He's a moron. He's acting like a complete idiot.
Morons in the News.
You know, we hold our police officers up to a high degree of integrity, but there are rotten apples in every barrel, I guess. And here's two very randy rotten apples. Two police officers in Great Britain, in the suburbs of London, having an affair, ignored call-outs to engage in romantic activity in their squad car while on duty. Sergeant Molly Edwards and her lover, Richard Patton, who is also an officer, as I mentioned, their affair was exposed after suspicious bosses in the police department bugged their police car. A panel was told that Patton, 39, was heard moaning, let's get busy, after an urgent 4:51 a.m. radio request for assistance at an electrical store burglary. So the call went out to these two at 4 in the morning. Somebody just broke into this store, and they did not respond. At the time, they were parked 15 minutes away going at it, and they're both married with kids. The report said their activity clearly involved the removal of clothing, and they have been hauled into court. There's no information about their spouses and what they thought, and we're not sure if they're going to get thrown out of the department. However, even when you think you can get away with it because you're in the middle of nowhere and it's 4:17 in the night, that doesn't always work your way. But what does it say about their attraction when they're ignoring a police call?
Wow. You know, it's a good thing they did not ignore a police call that resulted in people getting killed.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is some hotness when you're able to not be distracted by that. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to today's moron of the day. Cops think they've identified the man who defecated inside a freezer case at a grocery store in Oklahoma. An utterly vile and revolting act that was discovered after a woman reaching for a bag of Totino's pizza rolls placed her hands in the waist. Now, there are those of you out there that would say, what's the difference? But I'm going to defend Totino's pizza rolls because they are actually really delicious and so much better than a bag of feces. The person of interest in this case apparently took the bag of Totino's pizza rolls out, defecated on it, and then placed another bag on top of his waist. Police say that store cameras, quote, did record relatively decent video of the incident. The customer says, I pick up a bag of pizza rolls and there's literally bleep. Human bleep, excuse my language. I think she's justifiably upset. Check this out on the Bob and Sherry Facebook. It is truly the crappiest pizza rolls in all of the grocery store. And keep it right here for more. We have comedian Bill Hicks today. We're going to take you down the rabbit hole with Mr. T. And we've got some really fun fall dates that you'll never get anyone to agree to go on with you. It's all straight ahead. It's Bob and Sherry.
A shareable taste of the show. The Fun Size Podcast drops every Thursday on the free Bob and Sherry app.
So I went for lunch after we finished the other day, a late lunch at a restaurant that serves some pretty good seafood sandwiches. And I was very excited about being there. I think I felt good that day, got a Diet Coke and just sitting there at the counter. And they have TVs like most restaurants. They have TVs like all over the place. There's like 4 or 5 TVs in this restaurant. And I am sitting right in front of the one. And it's impossible to ignore. It's just a few feet from me, and the TV is very large. I am sitting in front of one that has on, during the lunch hour, Hot Bench. Do you know what Hot Bench is?
I feel like I've seen that on with Kevin.
Hot Bench is one of those judge shows where people come and they say, this person borrowed my lawnmower and gave it back to me broken. That lawnmower was worth $1,100 and they need to pay up. And then the other person says, well, I think it was broken before, I even got it. So that is ridiculous. And it's back and forth and back and forth. And I'm sitting there and, I'm feeling really good. We did a good show that day. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I am spending lunch in small claims court, basically.
Yes.
I'm listening to these people saying, well, he said when he rented me the garage that I would have full access, but I do not have full access. His car is still in there. So I'm paying $75 a month because I need to store stuff, but I don't have enough. And it was one after another. And they call it Hot Bench because there's 3 judges. Okay. There's a guy and there's 2 women. And so they tag team it. The first person comes in with something that's, they're going to sue their neighbor with or whatever. And this first judge takes it and it goes real fast. And then it's the next one and the next judge takes it. And then the next judge takes it. Hot Bench. They just move it fast because everybody has such a short attention span. So I'm watching Hot Bench and I'm eating it. And I'm saying to myself, this is a nice restaurant. I mean, I want to see this place do well. But the manager has got to do something here. There's enough of a problem with not enough help and everything. You're making people sit in small claims court and listen to these numb whatevers for their lunch hour. And the sound is up, by the way. The sound is up. Why would he not? And the place was not packed. Why would he not look over and see Hot Bench and me next to Hot Bench and say, I can hear. Here's a guy that actually still steals hubcaps. And he's been taken. I don't want to hear that. Why would he not come over and say, I'm awfully sorry. Let me, do you want to watch Hot Bench? No, I don't want to watch Hot Bench. All right, let me change it for you. Let's put it over to, the go-to is sports, but maybe you want to have it on the cooking channel. Yeah.
The Food Network.
The Food Network. What's more perfect than the Food Network in a restaurant?
Kev leaves the TV on in at least one room for the pets to watch. And so I think that's where I've walked past Hot Bench because you're right. It's on like in the middle of the day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know who's the producer? Do you know who the executive producer of Hot Bench is?
Jerry Springer? Who?
No.
Maury Povich.
No, much
Judge
nicer.
Judy.
Judge Judy. No. Because making $500 million a year ain't enough.
She's got a lot of
still,
energy.
I think, the highest paid performer in TV.
Yeah, she's just got a lot of energy. She's got to put it somewhere. Wow.
She does.
Wow. Because he leaves the TV on all these and it's something different all the time. Like I guess he thinks they get bored. Like I've walked in and caught them watching the 700 Club, Bonanza. He'll put on like one of those antenna TV channels. I walked in one day and Charles and Tiberius were sitting side by side on the coffee table watching Three's Company. And I knew what they were thinking. They were like, this was a hit. My God, you're so ridiculous.
Oh, the color is so cheap looking. You know that your pets are watching the 700 Club when their heads are shaking back and forth slowly.
So you would rather have had sports on than Hot Bench? I mean, come on, that had to be like a change of pace for you, being in a small claims court at lunch.
Well, it was a change of pace, but I am not one of these people that needs to have something entertaining me. I mean, we've talked about it before. When I fill up my car for gas, I don't need Mario Lopez telling me about what's coming up at such and such an award show on the red carpet. I just don't need it. I mean, give me a break. Let me fill up my car. And I also don't want to hear your music. I want to hear the music of the radio station that I'm working for, that I like. Or I just don't need to have constant stimulation.
Get off my lawn.
I can't remember the last time I went into a restaurant that didn't have TV, unless it was a fast food place. Like they all have it now.
I've always found that the employees there, it's background. They're working. They're not thinking about anything other than what's in front of them. They're not seeing that. They're not even thinking about what you might want to watch because they're assuming that it's background for you too.
Yeah, but, it's more than that. It's an annoying sound of people arguing during my lunch hour. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I agree with Sherry. It should be on the Food Network with captions. But that's just me. All right, get off of my lawn, whatever.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn with your stupid judges shows while I'm eating. Straight ahead. Straight ahead. We have Everyone Needs a Laugh. We're going to throw it back for you like we do every Thursday. And a whole bunch of stuff coming up on the show, including the only store of its kind in the whole wide world where you get to buy other people's forgotten stuff. It's Bob and Sherry. Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet it can be hard work. You know, it's easy. Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. And it's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Just go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
Bob and Sherry, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sherry.
It is Talkback time. We have a brand new phone number, 844-52-SHERRY. That's 844-52-SHERI. We can't make it ring yet, but we will. And in the meantime, we're getting messages. We also have our app. It's free in Google Play and the App Store. And if you download that and just tap a little microphone, bottom of the screen and talk, your message comes right to us. So we had a little boy call the show about a week ago or so, and he wanted to know if we could tell him when it would snow in December, because he was going to win a contest. And we were really confused, but a gazillion of our listeners rode to the rescue and explained what the little boy meant.
So let's play the original message.
I don't know if you can hear me, but me and my mom gone through something, and I asked my mom, does the Bob and Sherry show know if this year if it'll snow? And my mom said they won't know that. And then I said, well, what about Paris and Purim? Will they know?
So we couldn't figure out what he was saying. So some listeners have figured this out, and this is it.
Bob and Sherry, I was listening to your podcast. I heard the voicemail from the little boy who wants to know if it's going to snow, and I have a translation for you. I believe he's from Wilmington, and we have a store in town called Perry's Emporium. It's a jewelry store, and every year at Christmas time, they offer to give away free jewelry to anybody who purchases the jewelry in a certain time frame before Christmas if it snows a certain amount in some determined location. So every year it's, is it going to snow on Christmas, because everybody wants to get their free jewelry. So I'm pretty sure this kid knows that Perry has a line on whether or not it's going to snow, and he picks places where it's not going to snow so that he gets to make his money every year. You're welcome. Love the show. You guys are great.
This kid is such a player at that age. He's getting bling for who knows who.
Listen, the power of advertising. A little kid's picking up on something like this.
I know. That's right.
Well, I wish I could. You know what? I'd love to help the little kid with his. I mean, he sounds like a future little bookie. I'd love to help him. I don't know if it's going to snow. We'd have to look at the Farmer's Almanac, which doesn't get delivered to us anymore. It gets delivered to our former station, and they keep it. So good luck, child. What do you think, Bob?
I think that kid is amazing. You know, he's going to be something. I don't know what it is, but I think he's going to be in sales, because he took the phone and he went, "Hello, Bob and Sherry. I don't know if you can hear me or not here, but here's my question. I mean, this could be just going nowhere. I don't know. I love that kid. He's going to be a sales manager.
I don't know if you can hear me, but me and my mom.
Oh, we can hear you.
Wow.
That is a little CEO. That's a little business major in the making right there.
Yeah, he was speaking right up. I know. They're raising that kid right. He's going to be something.
All right, coming up, it's Thursday. Happy gateway to the weekend. You know what we do on Thursdays. We throw it back to a comedy legend. We got Bill Hicks coming up for you today. Plus, The legendary Mr. T is going to make an appearance on today's show. It's Bob and Sherry.
Get Bob and Sherry swag in our store at bobandsherry.com.
So I've been doing research and looking for places that are within like reasonable driving distance of where I live so that I can go on limited adventures, right? Because now, you know, I'm not doing dance competitions or anything, so I've got this time. But I can't be away for too long because of all the critters and also because my husband is like the king of COVID compliance. So I was searching and making my radius bigger, and I landed on Thurman, West Virginia, which is like my favorite thing. It's a ghost town. So Thurman, West Virginia, there are 7 people that live in Thurman, West Virginia. 6 of them are running for office, which is amazing all by itself because who the heck wants to be a politician these days, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you think of anything you'd like to do less than be a politician? So here's the deal with Thurman. It's a former coal town, and it's got all these like railroad stations and depots in it because that's where the coal would ship out of. And it's apparently like there's a ton of alleged paranormal activity. I don't know about that. It was founded in 1900. And for years and years and years, it was only accessible by train. And it was the largest train stop in the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway. Like 10 or 15 trains per day would come into Thurman, and that was just passenger trains. That doesn't even count all the coal trains. So it was really like a big deal. And originally the town, it was named for this Captain Thurman dude. And originally Captain Thurman banned alcohol, but just outside of the town limits, a hotel was built, and it was notorious for gambling and alcohol and all sorts of naughtiness, and it became a famous resort for wealthy people. And check this out, the longest poker game in the world took place at this hotel just outside Thurman, West Virginia. So when the hotel burned to the ground, that's when the town kind of went into decline because there were no longer all these tourist dollars coming through, right? After the hotel burned, the bank closed down, and then the only other bank in town moved to another place. Then diesel engines became the norm with railroads, and so there was no reason for Thurman to have railroads. So, it became sort of abandoned. Then in the 1960s, here comes whitewater rafting, and that was good news for Thurman. But to this day, it's still just sort of a ghost town. It's incorporated and it's listed on the Registry of Historic Places, and it's mostly untouched by the 21st century. So when I say there's nothing to do, there aren't there aren't attractions, there's not like the haunted train ride or anything like that. But if you're interested in abandoned places and history and that sort of thing, it has not been touched since the town.
The buildings are still
died.
standing.
Yes.
The buildings are still there, but they're locked up. I mean, who owns? There are 6 people out of 7 running for mayor. Who owns it all?
The park department are the ones that handle everything in that town.
The Park Service.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's the National Park Service. I think it was under. I'm trying to remember when I read this. I think it was under President Carter that the Park Service got in there, restored some of the storefronts, and basically you walk through this town and there's no modern life. Like it's a chance to get a little feeling of what it was like, back in before it all went bad at the end of the 1920s.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've never heard of a place quite like that. I love that the Park Service is handling it. They're terrific.
Go ahead, Max.
Sherry, I can't believe you're saying this because I said to Bridget, I'm seeing this on television on Mysteries of the Abandoned. And I said, would you like to go there? Look, all these abandoned buildings. This would be great. I can't believe you're talking about it because when you said I went, it's the exact same place because when you started to talk about it, I remembered about the hotel and everything else. And I was like,
I'm going. I mean, it's probably, what would you guess, Max? About 4 hours drive?
Thereabouts, 4 or 5, yeah.
I can talk the mister into that. And this time of the year with the leaves changing and a cold wind kicking up, woo, extra spooky.
Well, you two enjoy that. I'm going to be going to Chicago where I can get a good stiff drink and a pizza.
Well, I'm here to tell you, buddy, I can get a good stiff drink and a pizza at like a Pizza Hut or a Pizza Ranch. I'm going to a ghost town in West Virginia and looking at all of the abandoned buildings. So exciting. If you want to check it out for yourself, it's called Thurman, Thurmond, Thurman, West Virginia. All right, don't go anywhere. Straight ahead, we're going to kick off Everyone Needs a Laugh with comedian Bill Hicks. It's Bob and Sherry.
Leave us a talkback with the free Bob and Sherry app.
It is time for your gateway to the weekend Throwback Thursday edition of Everyone Needs a Laugh, sponsored by Panera. Today, we're putting the spotlight on a comedian that is an icon and a legend for other comics. If you're a fan of comedy, you're watching an interview or listening to something on a podcast, you'll often hear comedians talk about Bill Hicks. He died really young. I think he was maybe 33, Max.
Yeah.
Right about there. He died really young, but he was a groundbreaking comedian. And it's not easy to find something that we could play on the show, but we did. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Hicks.
Just flew in. Let me get this straight. They don't allow smoking on airplanes, right? But they allow children. All right, whatever. I smoke, so I'm trying to quit flying. And I would quit smoking, but you non-smokers make me want to smoke. You make me so nervous, you know. Say the dumbest things. I was down at 42nd and 8th earlier doing some late Christmas shopping for myself. And this guy says to me, hey, man, quit smoking. You get your sense of smell back. Which is exactly what I'm looking for when I'm in 42nd and 8th Street in New York City. My sense of smell. Is that urine? I think I smell a dead guy. Honey, look, a dead guy. Covered in urine. Check this out. Think if I'd been smoking, I never would have found him. It's good to be in New York. People, at least outside, people don't go out anymore, man, because you watch the news, you get the impression you walk out your door, you're immediately going to be raped by some crack-addicted, AIDS-infected pit bull, just some horrible CNN tale. Honey, I'm going to check the mail. What do you say we stay inside tonight, honey? Let the Domino's guy deal with that thing out there. Yeah, Domino's, send another car over. I know it's the third one. That last guy almost made it. Pretty soon, we're all going to be locked in our homes, man. No one in the street but Domino's guys in armored Chevettes with turrets. Yeah, the news is too apocalyptic, man. You ever sit around and watch CNN longer than, say, 20 hours in one day? It's unbelievable. Watch just the headline news at the beginning. This half hour, war, famine, death, AIDS, homeless, recession, depression, drought, flood, and the Hollywood Minute. I don't like Ted Turner because he's colorizing black and white films. Don't do that. He says if you colorize black and white films, more people will watch them. Yeah, maybe that's why people don't read anymore. Books are in black and white. Maybe Ted Turner's next venture will be to turn every book into a coloring book. Boy, I love reading. Yeah, you're going out of the line. Oh, no, I've been reading all day. And I'm sick of these polls, man, on CNN. I'm sick of the polls. I've never been polled. By round of applause, how many people here have never been polled? About 60% of you. Well, I just polled you, so there. They're so misleading. I saw one that said, how many people disapprove of George Bush's handling of the country? 79%. Of these same people, how many will vote for him again in November? 79%. Where did they take that poll at? Some S&M parlor? Ow, more. Ow, don't stop. And I'm sick of these test audiences for movies. I went and saw Basic Instinct over the weekend. Highly disappointed. And I come to find out all the lesbian love scenes were cut out because a test audience was turned off by them. Boy, is my thumb not on the pulse of America here. If I had been in that test audience, the only one out front protesting would be Michael Douglas, demanding his part be put back in. disgusting. And Geraldo, I watched Geraldo. He got plastic surgery done on himself on the air in the name of journalism. Yeah, I can't wait till he tries that Kevorkian suicide machine.
Wow.
That's Bill Hicks.
That's Bill Hicks.
That's Bill Hicks. We'll post it up at BOBANDSHERI.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter. We never spam you. And once a week, we pull a subscriber at random and load them up with Bob and Sherry swag. Plus, every newsletter is packed filled with cool stuff, contests, and videos, and all sorts of things that we don't do on the regular show. That's BOBANDSHERI.com. This is Bob and Sherry.
The Bob and Sherry website, the Oddcast, contest info, bobandsherry.com.
I got a DM from one of our listeners. It is such a great story, and it involves cool cigarettes. So you remember the other day, we had that old cigarette ad about how cool was a refreshing break when you needed some fresh air. You would get a mouthful of cool into your lungs and get out there and really feel better.
And it made your throat feel so good.
Well, cool cigarettes, who paid any attention to this when you were a child? But cool cigarettes really went hardcore after women, targeting women in their advertising. And they definitely snared our listener's mom. So before I tell you that story, here's an example of what we mean when we say cool went for women.
Everything about her is stylishly long, from the clothes she wears to her flowing hair. And tastefully cool, excitingly cool. Lady cool. And her cigarette is as stylishly long and tastefully cool as she is. Cool filter longs, long to the touch, cool to the taste. A cigarette that puts it all together. Cool filter longs, long and cool.
I'll tell you what it puts together, you and an iron lung.
So the ad is that she's on the beach and she finds a place and she pulls out a cigarette, and then a handsome man comes along and he's smoking cigarettes with her. It's a riot.
Yeah.
And then they're putting them out in the beach, which they don't show on the ad.
That dude heard the voiceover in the music and said, "I've got something I'd like you to lengthen cool."
Yeah,
so
right.
Let me read.
Nice. Jeez, Sherry. But are you, seriously, are you a 22-year-old longshoreman working the docks in Philly?
In my last life, yeah. Oh, listen,
Yeah.
if folks could hear the things that happen when the commercials are running on this show. So anyway, I got this great DM from our listener, Cheryl Nash Dixon, who's in Springfield, Oregon. She said, "I love that cool cigarettes ad. When I was about 6 years old, my mom smoked cools, and she entered a contest and won a cool sailboat. An actual sailboat, you guys.
Kidding. Wow.
With and the sail was white and green.
How long was it? Does she say how long?
It was very long. But here's the best part of the story. My dad ended up capsizing it in Alamitos Bay, and the instruction manual sank to the depths. And as far as I recall, we never sailed it again." That's right. It went out one time, and that was it. The cool sailboat.
Not cool. That was not cool. No. They marketed women, and obviously, I mean, that was the most heavily female marketing spot I think I've ever heard. They also went after the African American community heavy.
Well, I went ahead and looked up the cool sailboat contest. And yeah, sure enough, there was an actual cool sailboat contest. And I found the ad for it that must have ran in what was that magazine that used to be around for women? Like McCall's? Those kind of magazines, Red Book.
Yeah.
And listen, I just have to read you the advertising copy. So it's a beautiful, perfect day and a blue body of water. And there's the cool sailboat. And it's a giant sailboat. And the headline is "Never a Rough Puff." And here's the ad. Never a rough puff, not with the taste of extra coolness and cools. And now for more smooth sailing, we're offering you the world's most popular sailboat, the Sea Snark. Ordinarily, you'd pay about $120 for this portable, unsinkable 11-foot sailboat. And then there's a place you can enter and you can win it from. Cool. Now, I know they said it was an unsinkable sailboat, but Cheryl's daddy capsized it in Alamitos Bay, so I'm not 100% about that.
Well, I mean, you know what the whole thing was? The whole marketing campaign, really, of all cigarettes, is glamour. That your life is somehow more glamorous, relaxing, more interesting. You're more interesting when you put one of these cancer sticks in your mouth. That's what it was all about. Sailing, beaches, beautiful people.
I loved the voiceover in that cool cigarette ad because he was saying everything about her is long. From her this to her that to her long flowing hair. Her cigarette needs to be long too. It made me feel like what would he say, about me? Like, everything about her is medium-sized, except for her head, which is kind of on the larger end of the spectrum. Not grotesquely so, but so much that you notice it.
You might be better for cigars, hon. Now that I think of it.
Or one
Cigarillos,
of those,
yeah. Right.
It is. We'll post that long, cool ad
They
up
said
on our
they made
Facebook.
48,000 of those sailboats that they sent out and shipped. I'm looking here, and styrofoam was the main ingredient, which is why they were saying it won't sink.
Well, maybe
that's good for the
sink.
ocean too. Styrofoam. Thanks, cool.
Maybe it doesn't sink, but apparently you can capsize that bad boy. It's Bob and Sherry.
Bob and Sherry, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sherry.
Bob and Sherry, go.
All
right, quick pop quiz. Bob Lacey, what is the number one most favorite guest we have ever had on the Bob and Sherry Show?
Oh, wow. Mr. T.
It is Mr. T. I will never, ever, ever get over how starstruck I still feel to this day for getting to hug Mr. T while he was wearing nothing but his little short flowered bathrobe and some jewelry.
Well, he was funny. He was very funny, and he rolled with the audience, and he was clever. It was around Thanksgiving.
He was the absolute best. So here's what we have for you now in the rabbit hole. I don't even know how I came across this, but this is Mr. T going apple picking at an orchard in upstate New York with Conan O'Brien.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, yes. The great Mr. C.
Mr. C, I like that.
Yes, definitely. We gonna take some apples home?
Yeah, we can take apples home whenever you want,
And feed the homeless.
Yeah, or keep them for ourselves.
Yes.
I'm a greedy person. Anyway, Mr. T, I think this looks like a pretty good tree right here. Do you like it?
I agree. Yes, sir. It's a good tree.
Now, I think instead of shaking the tree or climbing up into the tree, I think if you just yelled at the tree, the apples might fall down. You want to try that?
Hey, Apple, you better fall down. Don't let the apple come up there, Apple.
That's good.
Oh, it's going to be bad if I come up there. I'm going to cut you into pieces. I'm going to peel you and I'm going to skin you. Then I'm going to eat the cob.
I pity the apple that don't fall down.
I pity him, too. You heard what Conan said? Mr. C, I forgot. Mr. C. It ain't working. Let's try something else.
We should try just picking them conventionally. Hey, here's an apple right there. Look at these right here.
Oh, a couple right here.
Yeah, look at that.
A green one. God didn't make little green apples. Here it goes. I got it.
Nice job.
Man, I tell you, man.
All right, now yell at the apple.
Man, but it's not a good apple, though.
Do me a favor. Yell at the apple for not being a good apple. Come on. You know what's wrong with this apple? You yelled at it. Those are goosebumps. That apple's scared.
You're probably right. You're probably right. And it's a little chilly out here, too.
You put the fear of God into this apple.
Wow.
You shouldn't scare fruit.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Leave fruit alone.
All right, I'll leave fruity things alone.
Huh.
All right, Johnny Appleseed. See? Look at there. This is a bad tree, man.
All right, well, listen, don't get all... The whole point is to be out here and relax. You get all worked up, so we found an apple that...
But it's so good, man. We got to get good apples, man. We can't make no apple pie with no bad apple like that.
All right, just breathe. Breathe. Let's get another apple.
All right. That's a bad one. Let me show you. See? Look at that. It got a bee in it.
All right.
It got a bee in it.
Stop yelling at the bee.
All right, dead B. T1, B0.
He did a wrestling move on the
This
apple.
one right here?
Look at this. That's another bad one.
Stop yelling at me.
Come on down, Cole.
Now I'm gonna come down now that you're getting mad again. I don't think so.
No,
I think I'm
because
staying.
you've been up there too long. I'm tired of waiting.
Well, I'm gonna stay up here until you're not mad anymore. You're getting mad.
I'm tired of waiting. Come on down now, fool.
See, you're getting mad.
I'll come up down to you now.
You're getting mad again.
Don't make me mad. I said, come on down.
Well, stop yelling at me.
Come down now.
No, you get me out. Are you gonna get? Hey, knock it off.
I said, come down.
Quit it. Come on. Stop getting mad.
Oh, man. It reminded me of one episode on the A-Team. You know, we thought Hannibal had a good plan. Oh, man. We was at the beach and stuff like that. We were trying to make a submarine. I was scared of planes. Didn't like planes, man. Especially that crazy fool Murdoch be flying, you know. That was the key. That's why everybody liked the show, you know, because we never killed nobody. Dun, 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 bang! B.A. Baracus, bang! Howling Mad Murdoch. Dun, 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 dun. Had to fight 4 guys. 4 the crooks, you know, in Hannibal and the rest of the guys.
He's one of the greatest. He was even better than that on our show when we did Talkin' Turkey with T.
I would give so much to happen to be in an apple orchard when Mr. T and Conan O'Brien rolled up to go pick him. How epic would that be? We'll post the whole clip so you can watch it on the Bob and Sherry Facebook. This is Bob and Sherry.
Instant access to the podcast, and fun side. Just download the free Bob and Sherry app.
I just love learning about some slang or some sayings that I've never heard of before. Like Chaz Parliamentary has a friend whose name is Sandy Blue Eyes. And the two of them do Sandy Blue Eyes' phrase of the day or word of the day. And I can't remember most of them, but one of them was Mama Luke. And then you hear Chaz say, "Can you use it in a sentence?" And he goes, "Yeah, look at that Mama Luke over there, broken down guy. He doesn't even have a shoe on." So, you know, that's just one that I remembered, and I haven't been able to use it anywhere yet. But when I came upon this, I was fascinated. These are expressions, real expressions and words out of the 1700s that have dissipated. They've gone away. I looked at them and I said, let's write down the ones that should have a comeback. Okay? So you got the concept? I will read you the word and give you the definition, and you tell me whether or not that could be used today. And here we go. We'll start off with the first one, which is dicked in the knob. Dicked in the knob. That means crazy or silly. There's no point in reasoning with obsessed trolls on Twitter. They're all just dicked in the knob.
Dicked
what do you
in the
think?
knob.
Please don't say it again. It's making me really uncomfortable.
He keeps reaching for the delay.
I know. I keep on going, oh.
Okay, the second one is shipwrecked. This is a little bit easier. From the 1700s, that's a definition of being inebriated. Like, we went to a pirate-themed bar downtown, and after a few hearty glasses of rum, I was definitely shipwrecked.
That's a good one. That does need to come back.
Okay, so we're going to put that one down. All right, shipwrecked. How about betwaddled? That means surprised, confounded, or out of one's senses. Today's lesson on physics left me completely betwaddled.
Yes, but I think that you have to be careful. That's another one. I felt Max twitching.
Really feeling uncomfortable.
It's an actual word. It's an actual
understand.
word from the past. Okay. Giggle mug. That's a habitually smiling face. You ever see somebody who's just, they're always standing around and they're smiling for whatever reason? That's a giggle mug.
I don't see a lot of that in reality right now, so I'm going to leave that obsolete.
We're going to say no. I think you're right. Galumpus, a large, clumsy fellow. He seemed a little intimidating, but Clyde's just a big galumpus.
It's kind of, isn't that sort of like the granddaddy of galoot?
Yeah. I think it is, yeah. Stay or go.
I think we can bring that back. That's harmless.
All right, galumpus. White snakes.
I can't. I just think of Tawny Katane writhing around on the hood of a car. I can't. Okay, whatever you've got, I can't do it. Yeah.
The definition is provoke to the utmost. I saw that political meme you posted on Instagram. You were definitely trying to white snakes before your family reunion.
Nah, I think it's too hard to
Okay.
use.
Okay. All right. Bone box. That's the mouth. If that guy doesn't shut his bone box, I'm going to shut it for him.
I kind of like that as an
too.
alternative to pie hole.
Speaking as the only woman in a room, I find it somewhat problematic. But maybe that's me.
Let's move along. RC Varsy. To fall RC Varsy means head over heels. I was texting while walking, and I went artsy Varsy down a flight of stairs, and I broke my phone.
No, I don't like that one.
No, okay.
What do you max out like that one?
Bottle-headed.
Not unless you have a British accent, can you use that one?
Yeah, that's probably true. Bottle-headed, void of wit. It's hard to watch these bottle-headed sitcoms. You like that?
I like that one.
Bottle-headed. I don't want to do that. If you didn't like the other ones, I ain't doing this one either. I ain't doing the silent flute. Forget about that.
I don't want the silent flute in the bone box.
How do you feel about muffin
I'm going
wallopers?
to tell you something. I have found the silent flute seldom silent. It tends to whine and plead quite a bit. I'm sorry, what was the next one, Bob?
Muffin wallopers.
Again, kind of find that a little bit problematic, whatever that might be.
It is scandal-loving women, chiefly spinsters who meet over a cup of tea and talk about others. No,
it's a hateful stereotype. No, I don't like that one.
Screwjaws, a wry-mouthed man or woman. Listen here, Screwjaws. I've about had it with your mean tweets.
Nope, that one's not going to make it back.
Okay. Now this is benign. Irish apricots. It's potatoes. An Irish apricot. That's not going to work.
That's not coming back. No. I don't feel that one coming back.
A fly link. A fly rink. It's a polished bald head. Look at the fly rink on that guy. It's kind of mean.
Come. It's mean. That won't come. And bald is sexy. That won't come back.
Yeah. Sky farmers. Cheats who pretend they were farmers or on a farm somewhere, but were ruined by a flood, hurricane, or some such calamity, but they never really had the land. No, that's not going to...
I don't know how we're bringing that back, huh?
No, it's not. And finally, I don't want to do that one. Actually, you can't do the rest of them.
Why will you?
So you did pre-read this bit, right?
I see that, yes.
Some of it, yeah. The last one is an owl in an ivy bush.
An owl in an ivy bush.
Frequently said of a person with a large frizzled wig. After Sarah stepped out of that windy rainstorm to grab lunch, she came back looking like an owl in an ivy bush.
Excuse me, for some of us, that's our daily aesthetic, so we really are offended by this.
All right, so folks, there you are. You got a few, use them at work. People will say, the people aren't going to say, what does that mean? They'll feel ignorant. They don't know. And you'll look smart. It's Bob and Sherry.
You read it once.
I don't believe that.
And then you read it again.
I can't believe this.
It's Bob and Sherry's.
I believe this.
I cannot believe this.
I was online, looking for fun romantic date ideas for me and my husband. I mean, you can't get a 450-pound gargoyle every day to keep the heat in the relationship. So
right.
I stumbled across this one website, and it's date ideas, fall date ideas for romantic adventures that are also cozy. And so I'm like, oh, this is perfect, right? Mm-hmm. And as I was going through this, I found myself thinking, are there any of these that Bob Lacey or Kevin Nash would participate in joyfully and willingly? Yes, it goes without saying that if we begged you, if Mary and I begged you to do these things with us, you would. But would any of these be your idea is the question. And I think the answer is
I just
no.
love this. It's an opportunity for me to be exposed as grumpy. I just love this. Let's do it.
It's not that it's grumpy. It's just like my husband doesn't want to go pick apples together in an orchard. Like he just doesn't. And if you're honest, neither do you. You don't want to go picking apples with Mary, and don't even pretend that you do. Here's another thing. Get lost together in a corn maze. It's the ultimate fall date idea. No, it isn't. My husband does not want to get lost in a corn maze. And also, I'm married to Kit freaking Carson. He can't get lost in the corn maze. He can navigate by the stars. There's no way. If he didn't want to pick apples with me, he also doesn't want to go to the pumpkin patch with me. Agree, disagree, Bob?
Well, I mean, there's a period in your life where you do these things. That period is called dating. And it's also called you have a 3-year-old. Once you're beyond that, you've kind of done it, and it's not quite as appealing.
Here's another thing that Bob and Kevin don't really want to do. And that's go get spooked together in a haunted house attraction.
I definitely don't want that.
Let's go to the haunted mill, Bob.
I don't want some teenage kid getting his jollies by revving up it's harmless because they've taken the blade out, a chainsaw as I come around the corner. You think I need that at this point?
Here's something that Mr. Nash is not interested in, and that is have a whole evening where you create a new apple-themed cocktail together while dancing around the kitchen.
That is insanity. You're dancing around the kitchen creating an apple cocktail.
Bake a seasonal pie together. Yep.
Let's go back to the dancing around the kitchen with a cocktail. I think I could do that a little bit better.
This next one I would love to do. And I could probably get Kevin to do it, but I'm going to have to promise him certain amenities. Here we go. Grab some pillows and blankets, cover the bed of the truck, fill a thermos with hot apple cider, drive out to a dark spot, and look at the stars.
You know, I could see doing that. I mean, I don't have a truck, but I could see going to like a beach or something like that.
This is like our first date. The very first date he and I ever went on. Yeah. That's exactly what we did.
You know what's really sad, and I'll take the hit on this. These are all sweet things that you would do if you're a guy dating somebody early, you know? And then you get married, you've been around each other for 10 years, and now it's more like, oh, really? What are we going to do? We're going to go look at the stars out in the country where we could be killed by a maniac? Nah. You know, it's sad. It's sad that men, and I'm an example of it, you know, suddenly don't do those things.
You thought I was calling you out, but I'm not. I agree. This is like, here's the next one. I just want you to imagine. Hey, Kev, Friday night, you and me making homemade candy apples together. What?
You know, I could see it. I don't want to eat them, but I could kind of see it, I guess.
All right. Here's one for you, Bob. Yeah. Hey, Mary. How about tonight we build an indoor blanket fort?
I knew that was going to come. I knew that was on the way.
Sherry, honestly, once you're not 10 anymore, I mean, you're building an indoor fort to watch something on Netflix? I mean, now, if there's an indoor fort and something else is going on, you know.
See, that's the problem.
Just call me Davy Crockett.
That's the problem, that y'all want that something else to go on. Okay?
Yeah.
And like maybe sometimes we just want to get into the blanket fort and tell our favorite childhood Halloween stories.
Well, that is not going to be happening.
Can I tell you, Sherry, that's something else for me is either grilled or smoked meat at this point along the line.
We're going to watch Hocus Pocus. It's the best Halloween movie ever made.
No.
All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post this so that people that are still trying to impress their partners will have all sorts of ideas for how to get their fall romantic cozy on.
Yeah, they all work.
It's Bob and Sherry.
A shareable taste of the show. The Fun Size Podcast drops every Thursday on the free Bob and Sherry app.
You know, once in a while, I will stumble upon something either in a newspaper or on TV or online or whatever, and it has nothing to do with me, but it ticks me off to no end. And I just found one on the Guardian newspaper. I am going to read this. This has nothing to do with me whatsoever. The corporate hand-wringing started almost the same time as the lockdown orders. Quote, but if all of our workers are at home where we can't see them, how can we possibly know they're actually working? Leave it to the tech creeps to figure out a solution to reassure your boss miles away that you are indeed doing what you're being paid to do. Writing in The Guardian, Sandy Millen recently reported on the rise of bossware or tattleware, essentially spyware that enables managers to monitor their employees working from home. Again, nothing to do with me because, y'all, here I am a-speaking, right? And if I don't show up, people are going to know because it's going to sound like this. Yeah. So this is spyware. It includes a new program called Sneak, which uses your webcam to take a photo of you about once a minute and send it to your supervisor to prove that you are not away from your desk doing God knows what. You're not warned in advance, so the photograph that Sneak takes can catch you pretty much doing anything, picking spinach out of your teeth, any of the things that human beings do. Could be that picture, and it's documented. It's a level of invasion that would horrify even the NSA. There are good reasons for the lack of trust between employer and employee. Alas, they are mostly the fault of the employer. Companies took out PPP loans to stay running through the pandemic and then laid off thousands of workers anyway. Yet reading the news might give you the impression that it's the workers who are the problem. The New York Times is always so worried about whether remote work is making employees more likely to do something horrific, like operate their own, in their own self-interest, leave their jobs for a better opportunity. And we were just talking the other day, some people were trying to hustle 2 jobs at once. Now, that is not good. That is not good. However, when it comes down to this is me now. I'm just going to capsulize what the rest of this article in The Guardian is. When it comes down to wasting time, studies have shown that workers working from home are very efficient. And a lot of time wasting, if we're all very honest, comes from our employers. Meetings that mean nothing just because the manager, the middle manager, wants to let everybody know who's in charge, wants to pontificate a little bit. Now, this is not every single business. If you work for a great company, God bless you, you've lucked out. But the idea that I am working and there's spyware taking a picture of me every 60 seconds, come on. The way to find out if your people are doing the job is, are they doing the job? Are they making the sales calls? Are they closing sales? Are they getting money that's owed to the company if you go after slow to pays? Are you finishing up whatever the spreadsheets are? If you're not doing that, then you're not doing that. And everybody's going to know, are they not?
I love that you're taking a stand for workers. And I say that as I sit in my blanket fort playing Uno with my cat while drinking hot apple cider. Very productive over here today. Super duper productive.
But you see, what you just said, that's what you do. So, I mean, I get the joke and it's funny and all, but that's what you do. Everybody knows what we do. I mean, this thing has got to show up. It's just, here's the thing. The worst part about this is in the person's mind, they know that they're being spied upon, and it's uncomfortable, and it makes the workplace, even though it's their own home, less comforting, less fun. I just think it's a terrible idea.
I think it's an absolutely toxic idea. And remember, people that are lying to you are worried about being lied to. People that are stealing from you are worried about being stolen from. And people that are lazy AF are worried that you're lazy AF too.
Yeah, I agree.
So just, you do your thing. You do your thing. And part of the reason that we're having such a disruption in the work world right now is because all of this stuff. Because people, especially millennials and Zoomers, are like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to take this beating for crap pay and no benefits when I can go get crap pay and no benefits and a lesser beating somewhere else. That's really what it comes down to. It's Bob and Sherry.
Get Bob and Sherry swag in our store at bobandsherry.com.
Something that we've talked about every now and again on the show when it's come up, and something we've always been really puzzled by, is how is it that some awful murderer will be sentenced to life with no chance of parole behind bars. And then that person will be bombarded with love letters and photos from women and might even get married to one or more of these women while doing time. And you can think Max probably right off the top of his head could name some names, starting with the one Menendez brother.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is they're like crime groupies or murder groupies or something. It's a very strange phenomenon.
It's hard to understand, yeah.
And for those of us that are single or have single friends, like there was a time when Max was single and one of these murderers got married behind bars, and Max goes, "Oh, excuse me, I haven't killed anyone in cold blood. I just get up early for my job, and I can't right? It's just, it's a mystery."
And she was an articulate, attractive woman. You're thinking, oh, who would do this? And so that was sort of surprising about it.
Well, in the country of Denmark, there's a brand new law. If you are serving a life sentence in Denmark, you are banned from being in any kind of a new relationship. And this law is on the books because there is a murderer who was jailed for life back in 2018. We talked about it on the show. After inviting a journalist aboard his submarine where he brutally and viciously murdered her. Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Justice Ministry of Denmark said, quote, "We have seen too many disgusting examples in recent years of prisoners who have committed abominable crimes, contacting young people in order to gain their sympathy and attention. This must be stopped." And then he went on to say, quote, "Lifers should not be able to use our prisons as dating centers or media platforms to brag about their crimes. And not only are you not allowed to have a romantic relationship if you're doing life in prison in Denmark, you're also banned from posting on social media or doing podcast interviews where you would talk about your crimes." And it is, it's pretty hardcore stuff. They are just done with the idea that you killed someone or multiple people, and now you're sitting in jail basically fielding romance requests. In the case of the submarine murderer, Peter Marsden, I'm trying to remember I think he's 50. He's 50. Would you like to know who he's quote unquote in love with? A 17-year-old girl.
Yes, that doesn't surprise me. You know what it is? Denmark is a wonderful country, but the Danes don't put up with foolishness. And they also believe that people should pull together for the overall good, for the greater good. And so if you have a guy who's a bad guy, and, these people are going to be, not good people, why would you let a 17-year-old who's a lovely Danish young woman, why would you let her get involved? Because her brain has not matured enough. She's not 25. It's not matured enough to make rational decisions. So in America, we don't feel quite that way. Not everybody's oar is pulling in the same direction, but more so they do in Denmark.
I'm thinking of there are people doing time for very brutal crimes who not only have romantic entanglements, but are permitted in some cases conjugal visits. And
what do you think of that?
If you are the victim of that person or a family member of one of their victims, I'll tell you what, you don't like it. How in the world could you be okay with that?
How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
It's mystifying to me. And the conjugal visit thing is mystifying to me too, if we're being honest. Like, I can see certain crimes you could permit conjugal visits, but I'm really thinking these are nonviolent crimes. Like, let's say you're doing time for some sort of like extortion or larceny. No blood was shed. No grieving family is involved. It's not a victimless crime, but it's not a violent crime. And you're married. Okay, I guess, whatever. But if you're a person who's serving time for a violent crime, how come we letting you get some? That just doesn't make sense to me at all.
The only answer I can give you on behalf of the violent criminal would be he might be in jail a little less violent, and also if that's his wife, and she's not divorcing him, what about her? That's the only thing I can come up with, but I hear what you're saying. Why reward them for that?
Why do you think, Max? What do you think?
It's really hard to say. I mean, somebody needs to feel something in their lives. I really don't understand. I don't have a real sense on that. But, I mean, I imagine for some people there's some sense of danger that's involved with it that is kind of a turn on. I don't know.
You have to be a little bit off, in order to get involved with somebody like that. It's just not normal. And I know in America today, there's no such thing of us being normal, right? Everybody's going to be who they are, as crazy as they are, but it's just not normal. You're never going to have a regular life. You're probably not going to have children. Come on. This person did that. Get on. There's a lot of guys out there that you can become involved with who are better people.
Well, I think when we're talking about a stone cold-blooded convicted murderer, the minimum is there are guys out there that are better people.
There are guys in prison who deserve to have second chances. There's no two ways about it. They deserve it. They're better people than the ones that we're talking about.
That's not who this law applies to.
No.
This law doesn't apply to that person. It applies to submarine killer Peter Marsden. It's Bob and Sherry.
The Bob and Sherry website, the Oddcast, contest info, bobandsherry.com.
I read this article one time quite a while ago, and I don't know why I remembered it because it's not a part of my life, but it was things that old money does that new money does not do. And it's not 100%, but they're generalities. And one of them I remember was a lot of old money, like New England families, don't fly first class. They think it's a waste. That flinty New England background, I guess, comes to call, and they say, no, that's a waste of money. So I was interested in this post that I saw the other day about subtle things that wealthy people do that other folks have noticed. This one guy started out, he was chatting with a fella who was about to get on a plane with him, and the guy's section was called. It was the first to go on, and the man said, "This young man over here, is there an open seat that I can get for him?" And they said it was $800. He brought the kid on, and the kid flew first class just because he could. Another person knew of a man who was so rich it only took him a day or two to convert more than $1 million to cash to buy one of his kids a house. He drives a rather beat-up old Subaru. When he's not riding his bike, he wears jeans and polo shirts. He's got a $200 digital watch, and he would never bother with an expensive watch at all. He just doesn't understand why people would do that. But when his kids want something, boy, they do get it. Working at a luxury resort, this person noticed that people who want to give the air of being very wealthy will have lots of designer patterns on their clothes and accessories, Louis Vuitton prints. But almost all of the ridiculously wealthy people will basically wear nondescript leisure wear and really plain-looking clothes like plain jeans tees with no logos. I think that's old money, though, don't you? Because I think new money is walking around with the Louis Vuitton for everybody to see.
I guess I never really gave it much thought. Like I don't understand spending that kind of money on luggage, but yeah, I guess I can see that.
This is interesting here. Wealthy people will spend money if it saves them time. Time is more valuable than money. That's interesting.
It's true, though.
It's true, though. I think that's one of the things that being wealthy really does give you. It's that freedom to say, I'm going to have the valet at the airport bring the car around. It's going to be waiting for me rather than getting on the bus and going halfway across the universe, getting in the car, blah, 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 blah. The time is money for these people. And also it's their lives. They're not throwing away part of their lives doing the annoying things that the rest of us have to do. This one person, I like this one. This one person said, my wife worked as a pastry chef at a very fancy New York City restaurant. And on her day off, we went to dinner there with a friend. The three of us were treated like kings. The head chef came out to see us because my wife was a worker there. We were served 6 desserts, and an older guy eating in the corner by himself randomly sent over a very expensive bottle of wine to us, because we looked like we were having such a good time. I was amazed. Having the kind of money where you can just do random acts of kindness. I will never forget that.
Is that an old money? I'm confused. Is that an old money thing or a new money thing?
I think that could be both. I think that could be both, because I knew someone once who was skiing in Vermont with her boyfriend. They were teenagers. And one of I think it was Ethel Kennedy, was there with, she's since passed away, was skiing there too at one of these halfway up the mountain restaurant stops. And they had several bottles of wine. And one of them was just opened, but everybody wanted to go. Ethel looked over at my friend and her boyfriend, picked up the bottle and said, "You kids will enjoy this." And off she skated. So that's old money. Yeah, that's old money. But I could see Puffy Combs doing the same thing, couldn't you?
That's a generosity thing. Neither old nor new money, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. It's Bob and Sherry.
Now, let's open up the Bob and Sherry Archive Vault.
Listen to this story. It's almost too unbelievable to be true, but it is. Margaret Arobio of Pasadena, California, picked all 6 winning numbers for last Wednesday's Powerball lottery. Mm-hmm. At the time, it was worth $360 million. Now, unfortunately, she bought the ticket 1 hour after the deadline.
Oh, no.
But when she heard the numbers on Thursday morning, she thought she'd won hundreds of millions. She didn't understand why they were announcing that there was no winning ticket. She called the gas station where she bought the ticket, and she learned that when she bought it at 8 p.m., it was an hour after the numbers had already been announced.
So was it a machine that you could just go up to without interacting with the clerk? Why did they allow her to buy it?
I guess
it was useless.
The machine. I don't know.
It was useless.
You always ask these questions.
Well, but it seems really cruel because
I agree, but I don't.
It goes to the next drawing?
Yeah, so it marks on your ticket the
it still lets you buy it.
The day that you're buying the ticket for. So they bought that ticket an hour after the drawing with those numbers, but it'll say on top of the ticket that it's for Wednesday night or whatever the next drawing.
So she was in the running for the $600 million because nobody won the $300 million.
But she
didn't get those numbers. She got the numbers
that were drawn Wednesday
for the $300 million.
She got the win. If she had been an hour earlier, she'd have won hundreds of millions.
I couldn't. You know what? I wouldn't want that. I would
never.
I'd never be right again.
Never.
Every single day, I'd be thinking about that.
I would never want this for you.
No.
Yeah. Yes, I would.
No, you would.
I
you
would
let stuff go.
I see an old Corvette go by. I go, I could have bought that. I drive by a house. That house. I could have bought that house.
I could have bought your house.
Then I'd slowly start going mad. I'd start going up to people on the street. That's a nice suit. I could have 10 of them if I won an hour earlier. But I didn't.
Yeah, this would have been the thing that would have tipped you over. People would say, whatever happened to that Bob Lacey guy? Well, he lives in a park now.
It's a nice park.
It's a good park. Well, you know how he is. He's kind of picky.
I could have bought this park.
I'll be getting calls from people. Sir, can you please come get Bob out of our backyard? He's sitting by the pool again on the lawn chair saying that he belongs to him.
I could have had a bigger pool. You think this is nice? You should have seen the one I could have had.
It's true. My phone and your phone, we would all be getting called all the time. Where are you going, Mom? Oh, God, they found Bob again. He's at Tiffany's. I have to go.
Finally, Bob would just break down and we'd have him in the day room. He'd be in the straitjacket with that lottery ticket still in his pocket going, this was the one.
And the psych techs at the home, they'd call him Powerball. Sup, Powerball? You ready for your juice?
That's exactly right.
How's it going, Powerball?
You know what? I'm not going to argue with that.
Time for a shower.
Like the big African-American guy that always helps when people go crazy. Yeah. Hey, Powerball, calm down now. Why am I laughing? It's so true, though. I would never be right, man. I go back to Old Lyme, sit out there in a dock. I see you in your sailboat.
Come on now, Powerball. I brought you pudding.
Oh, I feel so sorry for that person. That's awful. They should give that person something.
She might. It doesn't work that way.
I know, but it should. The person should be, I don't know, give her $100K out of one of these Powerball
Time to make
things.
those moccasins, PB. Come on, Powerball. Make those moccasins. You know what you can do? You can earn points that you can spend in the hospital store.
And after the moccasins, I'm going to make a belt with those beads.
That's right.
With my name.
Powerball. I got news for you, Powerball. On the ward you're on, you're not allowed to have a belt because you're on safety precautions.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Who could blame me, though? I almost won $300 million.
You can hear more from the Bob and Sherry archives at bobandSherry.com.
Leave us a talkback with the free Bob and Sherry app.
There's some place that I've always wanted to go, and it's not fancy or luxurious. It's not on the other side of the world. You don't need to take, a big long plane ride to get there. And it's not a place I think that most people would want to go. I don't think you'd want to go there, Bob, but the place that I've always wanted to go is Unclaimed Baggage, which is the only retailer in the USA that sells lost luggage from airports.
I've heard of this. Yeah. Is there just one?
There's just one, yeah. And it actually, they get about 7,000 pieces of lost luggage from all around the world every single day. And they sort through it and they clean and price and they sell the best of what they get. So you just never know what, you never know what
it's like a Goodwill store. It's like a Goodwill store, a little.
Kind of. Most unclaimed baggage eventually, gets back to its owner. Like everybody in this conversation has lost luggage or had an airline lose luggage, and we've all gotten it back, right? But it doesn't always work that way. And sometimes, it's gone forever and the airline gives you like, I don't know, a couple $100 or whatever, and you're done, right? And then it all goes to this place, which is the Unclaimed Baggage place, the only one in the world. And you can go in there and you can buy like everything, wedding rings. Like they find in people's checked bags, they find really valuable jewelry and then they find really weird one-of-a-kind stuff, like antiques and weird, strange collectibles. And of course, mountains and mountains and mountains of clothes and toiletries and all of that. And the bags themselves. Doesn't that seem like it would be such an interesting place to spend a couple of hours just looking at all of the stuff that people have lost?
Yeah, I think it would be, especially for the sort of person that likes to go to secondhand stores. Like there's a secondhand store my daughter Landon loves in Chicago it's within walking distance of her apartment. And when Mary and I visit, the two of them go off there. So this is like on steroids. And I will bet you that some of this stuff is really expensive. And the people who lost it have so much money that they don't care that a $400, $800, $1,200 dress is gone. I read this thing the other day, and it kind of made me sick, but it ties into what you're saying, that there are people with so much money that it is common for them when they go, let's say, on a vacation to Hawaii, that they'll go out, they're sick of the beach, they're sick of the pool, and the mom will take the two daughters out shopping for the day. And they're shopping and they're buying stuff, and it's coming back in bags, and they never open it up. It was just the shopping.
Oh, it was just the thrill of buying it, yeah.
Yes, and it's shipped home, and in some cases never worn. I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if the maids get it. I don't know if they give it to the poor people or if they just put it in a storehouse. But if you have a few people like that who are traveling, and they just go, all right, so there's 5 pairs of shoes I haven't worn but 10 times. It's just too much. That would be the find.
Well, some of the things that they have at the unclaimed baggage, like if you go to their website, you can actually shop online.
I'm on it right now.
They have like a whole collection of the weirdest things they've ever found. One of the things they found was a whole bear pelt that had been packed in salt. Here's what they said. It smells terrible. Hunters and taxidermists salt animal pelts to preserve them after a hunt, but there are specific methods they have to do it successfully. This bear pelt had not been completely cured. It got lost in transit, and when they opened the suitcase, there was a bear pelt that hadn't been properly cured.
That's got to be rough.
They also found a camera that had been on the space shuttle. They returned that to NASA. They found an ancient Egyptian burial mask. It was packed in a Gucci suitcase. And they all those artifacts, they gave them to Christie's auction, and they were all sold at auction. So there's a lot more than just like T-shirts from, Miami. And bags of dirty laundry. There's some wild stuff. The website, if you want to go check it out, is unclaimedbaggage.com. This is Bob and Sherry. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Bob and Sherry podcast and the Bob and Sherry Oddcast. We would love if you would subscribe, rate and review, and share it with a friend on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you go. And thank you again for listening.